Hello, hello. 17 here again with another Persona 3 Destiny Moonlight stream. Yes, and more Persona 3. Well, it's only been like 2 minutes, so... The social link. Now we just need Maz. Oh, hey, Maz. Just about to bring you up. So, I'm pretty sure you guys actually know now. I'm going to actually continue off the part 2 of this Persona 3 story now. Just need to remember where I left off from. Okay, I think I remember. Basically, I remember seeing from the very beginning the members, and then talking about the whole Ken running from the dorms. Alright, I think that's where we left off from. Because it's funny, because I was just playing Persona 3 Portable just now. It made to that part again, too. So, where I left off from, Akihiko was actually found Ken in the alleyway. As I was pursuing from there, Ken made a vow that she not to worry about Shinjiro's death and his mother, which actually involves his new persona to awaken to Kalanami, which pretty much the whole group was worried about him, but he came back on his own. So he was pretty much alright and ready to fight again. So, moving forward to like the next week, I think, not couple of weeks. Mostly the next week. It's because they actually have a few shadows to deal with now. And this is way before that they deal with the one last big shadow. This is with the rest of the members of Strega, Takaya, and Jin. And she found their friend Chidori in the hospital. They came to get her, and they gave her her evoker back. So, they not even treated on them yet. Wait, I know that's wrong. That's very farther. This is like the second shadow. This is when they actually fought against the members of Strega. There we go. Takaya and Jin together on the Moonlight Bridge, which they explained to them like they should turn back and stop doing the operations with these shadows, because they love the dark hour. Because, as they said before, if the Cease members destroy all the remaining shadows, Tartarus and the Dark Hour will all disappear. Not only they disappear, but all their powers will disappear too, which means no more summoning personas. But the Cease members still ain't giving up the fight. Even means they have to fight them to make it happen. So pretty much the fight wanted with the Cease group. The Strega group have found it very formidable foes. But it's pretty much that Jin was just following Takaya's orders. He was the one that saved him because they were also being experimented on, but would bestow upon these personas. There's a few bunch who actually bestow upon this curse. Not many of them left. You can say Takaya, Jin, and Chidori were the only ones left. They were part of this experiment that gave them these powers, and they had no control over them. But before they had to jump off the bridge, Jin said they'd rather die than just listen to the cease members or losing their powers. They stayed hidden for a good while. So they took down the next shadow. And then we can skip upon to a couple of weeks to the next full moon. But this is before the next full moon started. Takaya and Jin, who survived their fall from the Moonlight Bridge, rescue their friend Chidori from the hospital and give her back her evoker, so she can actually summon Medea. So, by the next full moon came. Well, this is before the final shadow of the full moon. They actually have to be fighting Chidori in front of Tartarus. Actually, I think it's mix and match one of them. Okay, they took down the next one. The last shadow they fought. It's right before they fought Takaya Jin. Okay, that makes it more better. Okay, continue on from that one. They found out about Chidori, but as soon as they took down the last remaining 12 shadows, the team decided to celebrate. But the only ones that weren't there was Ikusuke, the chairman, and Naigas. And soon midnight was about to hit. That's what they noticed. The Dark Hour was still here. And they heard the bell ring from the Tartarus, which they calculated. Could they be wrong? The Dark Hour is still here. As Ikusuke, the chairman, had told them 12 shadows was the reason for the Dark Hour and Tartarus existing. Defeat all of them and Tartarus disappears. But it was all just an elaborate lie. So, they went to go to Tartarus, just to find Ikusuke and Naigas there already. It turns out it was just a lie. It was just for his own personal gain to keep the experiment going, studying the shadows, and even the 12 special ones that they all supposedly defeated. It was all for to actually sacrifice all the cease members for the uprising. And what this uprising is, it was for the uprising of the coming of the fall. So he crucified them at almost the very top of Tartarus, where the stairs was nowhere to be seen to reach to the next floor. Sadly enough, all of them were crucified. Ikusuke was going to actually sacrifice him for the upriser, an entity called Nyx, who's the reason why all those shadows would need to be defeated. All this was to make for her to come. But the only one that was not crucified was Mitsuru's father. He was being lied to as well, because the video was given to him was by Ikusuke, who was also a part of the researcher in that lab with Yukari's dad. He's actually doctored that film and only fill in a matter of lies in that film. So Ikusuke was allowed to kill all the cease members. He was already deranged. But when Agis looked up to the protagonist, Makoto, she couldn't bring herself to even kill all of them. Even though she was ordered, she couldn't kill him or the cease members. So Ikusuke got really upset and really going to take the matter in his own hands. Until it was stopped by Mitsuru's father. But tragic struck them. Ikusuke had a gun wielded. So was Mitsuru's father, and they both shot at each other. With still barely a breath left, Mitsuru's dad actually died, right in front of his daughter. Ikusuke was still held on to life a little bit. But that plan was failed by Koromaru, who was not crucified and actually stopped him and freed everyone, thanks with him and Aigis. Ikusuke was also a crazed, deranged man. But he didn't really care about all that. He was just doing this for the love of science. He wanted to see us the end and sacrifice all of them. It don't really matter, because Nyx was coming. Took his last breath and fell off the tower. Right there, they lost another member of their team. Mitsuru's dad. Who there? She cried over his corpse. And now, she's all alone. She lost her mom, and now she lost a father. A will to even continue. A reason to even fight anymore. Till some time passed, a new student actually came to Gakukanai overseas. This kid was named Ryoji. Pretty much a ladies' man, if you say. Already flirting with the girls there. But it piques Aigis' interest too that she doesn't trust him. She says that she considers him dangerous, but she doesn't know why. Here's the funny part about this one. For the female route, he also hit on the protagonist, but her name is Minako. We're gonna call her that. But it don't really matter since both the male and female are both Makoto Yukis. But there go the difference between them. The male is Makoto Yuki. The female is Minako Yuki. So you actually know which side I'm talking about. So Ryoji was actually hitting on Minako. But Aigis got really upset and told him to stay away from her. She does not like that anyone like him go near Minako. Okay, back to Makoto Yuki. Pretty much, he was a nice guy through and through. There was actually another school trip. This is actually back to the hometown that Yukari used to be born from. So she's pretty much known around the area. Great souvenirs, amazing shrines, even a hot spring there at the local hotel. But it was fun for a bit, but it still doubts that Mitsuru, she couldn't really find any will to fight anymore since she lost her father. So, pretty much before the time they had to leave, Yukari had to go find Mitsuru. They both had a little talk. Mitsuru thought about what's the reason to fight anymore. What's there to even do since they've defeated the 12 remaining shadows? But Yukari had enough. She'd never seen her senpai act this way before. She was always straightforward and always well planned. She slapped her to make her come back to her senses. Yukari herself didn't even find a reason to keep fighting anymore either, knowing that her father was part of the project and died in that explosion 10 years ago. But she still wants to believe in him. Because a little more on the story before this happened. Yukari did have a letter from her father. It was from a time capsule. For that rainy date from be 10 years in the future, that she'd be 16. She knows what it meant for her, not for his family. Fuka, who used her persona and actually her skills with computers and such, she actually recovered all the whole full actual video, the one that Ikusuke doctored. So, Yukari actually seen the video. She seen the whole reason. It was actually not to stop the 12 shadows because of this accident. He asked them to not kill or destroy these shadows, but leave them alone. So they were set on a lie. They were sent to destroy all of them, but really these shadows were meant to not be destroyed. Because he actually knew this was going to bring a tragic event from 10 years from now. But he was actually hoping that he would get to see his daughter one last time before this explosion actually killed him. When Yukari actually sees that, she wants to keep leaving her father and put an end to all of this, with her persona evolve into Isis. Now, fast forward track to this. Yukari gave Mitsuru the benefit of the doubt and told her that she can actually find a will to keep going, a will to fight for those who had died, not to give up. After hearing Yukari's lecture, Mitsuru just gave herself, well in doubt, a deep thought to think about. Up to this point, she's been fighting for what's right. But now, we lost her father, what there is to even fight for. But now, she was not going to give this up. She'll continue fighting in her father's place and run the Kirijo group. She'll do it in her family's name. But she'll also do it to protect those that she cares about. And this is what gave her her new awakened persona from to Artemisia. And so much. But the next dark hour appeared. I guess was not there. Except she went to the Moonlight Bridge and ran into someone very familiar. Ryoji. He seems to have gained some memories back. He knows his true purpose and why he's here. His actual name is not Ryoji. His name is Death, which is the 13th arcana. The ratio, the bringer of ends. It's recurring to that Moonlight Bridge was actually the same place where him and Aigis actually first met, where they fought. So Aigis knew that she failed 10 years ago, But this time, 10 years later, she's going to just stop and destroy Death, Ryoji. So, the two began fighting. I just put her all into that fight. Even though Ryoji actually remembered. He remembered it all. Even though it's been 10 years since they fought again, she was still no match for him. He was still too strong as he was before. But I just reclaim a memory. The reason why she wanted to be Makoto's side. And always be priority to stay by his side. She recalled from 10 years ago. The same Moonlight Bridge. She see a little kid was standing there in the middle of the dark hour, watching the fight from afar. That little kid was Makoto Yuki. He was just watching Aigus fighting. It's where she remembers him. That's right. Makoto Yuki used to be part of that town when he was just a kid 10 years ago. That's also the same day he lost his two parents in an accident. It was actually from between the fight between her and Death. So Aigus knew one thing she had to do 10 years ago. She had to seal Death inside of him before she was shut down then. But then knowing that was something she couldn't do. The only to keep Death from escaping. But she realized she didn't know. Death is out. Which meaning that same persona, that little guy, Pharaohs, was Ryoji. Ryoji is Death. And after that, before Aigus was shut down completely, she was malfunctioned with temporary and very harshful injuries. Deceased members actually came to her rescue, and they actually saw Ryoji, which know that he has no effect from the dark hour. But she told them the truth. He was Death. He remembers everything. It's alongside that he was actually is the avatar of the appraiser Nyx. It's why he's here for a reason. But it's actually not only one truth that he's hid. It's actually he was here because thanks to Makoto. He lives inside of Makoto for the past 10 years. And he's finally free before he collapsed. They got Aigus and Ryoji some help. But they soon recall the dark hour is still here. But they still had more trouble. The Strega group. After learning that Chidori was out of the hospital, she was in front of Tartarus, waiting for them. So, Chidori fought the Cease group, her and Medea. But she was no match for them anyway. But Junpei wanted her to stop fighting. She didn't have to do this. He begged her, until Takaya and Jin came out from Tartarus, and witnessed that. But Susan anything before saying any word. Takaya pulled out his gun and fired it. And he shot Junpei. He was going to die. But he woke up. He see himself in the hospital, right next to Chidori.
Hey, what's up? Fuka and I were just
It's strange to know. It's funny how, like, between from his conversation with Chidori in the hospital, She wanted to be with Junpei forever. She wants to be by his side. The reason why that she doesn't want to see him, because it makes her think about dying, which is something that she wasn't afraid of before. But now seeing Junpei like this, she's scared of dying. No, dying of leaving him. But it doesn't matter now. Throughout her orientation, it was more of a dream. Junpei woke up. His wound was healed. It's very because Chidori healed him. Her powers are similar to Fuka's, but Fuka can only sense life. Chidori's powers, they're the opposite. She gives life in exchange for her life. So she's been used all that life of hers and give it to Junpei. Pretty much know that she's actually was going to die. So what amounts of her strength of, she said that she loved him. She loved Junpei before dying in his arms. She didn't wake up again after that. She was gone. But to acknowledge, Takaya and Jin did not feel any remorse for Chidori sacrificing for some pawn like Junpei. It seemed like she just gave up her life for someone like a nobody. But Junpei was overhearing all this. He was getting infuriated on how they talking down about Chidori. It infuriated him. His persona Hermes came out, and so did her persona, Medea. They recognized that these two personas actually fused with one another. This is the first ever see two different personas infused into one persona itself. It's new. This persona became Junpei's awaken to his ultimate persona from Hermes to Trismegistus. Oh yeah, little fun fact about Junpei's voice actor. He's voiced by Vic Mignogna. You know, the original Funimation and the English dub voice for Broly and Edward Elric for Fullmetal Alchemist. If you actually hear Junpei talk, you actually can hear a little bit of Edward Elric in his voice, you know? Now, the more you know. Now, it's pretty much that Junpei couldn't stand up after using that much power. So Takaya and Jin took their leave inside of Tartarus. But they didn't come back out at all. They stayed there. Because they know about the fall was coming. The fall of humanity, they mean. Because all the people that looked like zombies before, with the apathy syndromes, it was December. That most of cases of apathy syndrome was not going away. It was just bringing more and more of them, people who are falling into it. Now, Ryoji actually came there for one last visit for the deceased members. He asked them to know that he was actually the avatar for Nyx's uprising. That he is the cause for her coming, and the fall for humanity. That everyone was going to die when she comes. Oh hey 18, I was just doing a little story for little Maz and Santa here about Persona 3. Well, hope you enjoy the rest of the story, because this is just getting interesting. Let's see. Oh, and 18. If you want me to join your Discord server, you can follow my Twitter and then shoot me a Discord invite. You just gotta go to my previous videos and find my Twitter link, and there you go. Alright, back to the story. So, Ryoji gave them either choices. Well, there's actually more of one choice. They give them some time to think about, because they can't defeat Nyx as she is. She's unkillable. So, their only choice that he gave them was to kill him, and that was stop Nyx from coming, and also to bring the fall to an end. Which means their normal life will go back to normal. But they only have until New Year's to do this. No. She'll come by New Year's, but they have until before March, which means they have to get this done before February, with a decision, with more of a time to actually stop Nyx. Because if not, everyone will die. Even them. So, he'll see them again by New Year's with an answer, which all put them to silence. They got scared. Junpei was the most scared of. He even got up to Makoto's face and yell at him to tell him to do something. He sees the leader, and that because death came out of him from 10 years, he told him to do something quick. He was getting scared and anxious about this, since he was so special. Just Makoto just actually argued back that there's nothing he can do. It was not his fault. But Yukari stopped Junpei because it's not his fault for this. He didn't even know about that. I mean, he was scared. Everyone was scared. But as time passed through December, they all gave some more thoughts. One by one, they came up with their answer. And by the time New Year's got here, well, before New Year's, I guess was actually fully prepared. And she actually told them to kill Ryoji. I mean, she's still unable to understand the human feelings and emotions. But it was more to actually make everyone safe. Is to actually have him killed. But all their answers was not to kill him. They want to not kill him and fight Nyx to the end. I guess actually understands the human emotions. Since like she may look human and she may be a robot, but she's gonna be like way more of a human like everyone else. So by the time that Ryoji came, he's pretty sure they all have their answer. But even though they all have their own answer, the answer has to go into their leader, Makoto, who makes the final decision. So he waited up in Makoto's room. So Makoto went up to go talk to him. So he asked that he made their final decision. And here's the thing about this one. There's actually two endings for this. So, if you actually kill Ryoji, he actually understands. And he skips all the way over to March. Is where Nyx never showed up. Everyone went back to their normal lives. Except for the downfall. Everyone's memories are gone. Everything that happened during Tartarus, the Dark Hour, is all disappear. Like it never happened. But they somehow, all of them still actually remember them. But it's talking like they actually never knew anything about one another. They don't even know who Aigis was. And Aigis had no memories of anyone. So pretty much during the graduation day, they all took their leave from the dorm. Pretty much just a simple and carefree ending there, but that's the bad ending. Everyone's forgotten who they are. They don't remember a thing. Okay, now for the actual ending for this game. Makoto said he would not kill Ryoji. But Ryoji asks, he's absolutely sure. Makoto still says he will not kill him. Everyone says not to kill him. Until Ryoji says they make him think one last time about this. He transformed into that persona from that night that Orpheus came out of. That same shadow that killed that giant shadow. Thanatos. Ryoji was that persona of death that came out of Orpheus that night that Makoto summoned. So he gave him one last chance to say. Makoto still said no. Ryoji came to understanding that he can't stop them. So he met them all back in the lobby. And so it appears to know they're all their understanding. Nyx will be on top of Tartarus. But they have until the end of February. Because by March, if they don't, everyone's gonna die. So even though they go all the way up there and meet Nyx, they'll try and stop her. So, for the fateful time has come. They all went back to Tartarus. And they meet up, but they met with the encounter of a blockade. Strega was still inside Tartarus. So they had to take them out first before reaching to the top. They stopped Jin, but Jin was only following Takaya's steps because Takaya had saved him from all that tragedy. But he doesn't want their sympathy, so they went all up ahead. But just to know that shadows was following them from up to Tartarus. They were surrounding Jin. So, Jin was actually fighting the shadows. So they got up a little bit further in Tartarus, and they heard an explosion. Yeah. Jin was actually fighting for his life on it. Even it means taking his own life. Jin just ended up killing himself, taking the shadows with him. So the only person left was Takaya, who was waiting for them. He put much of a fight against the Cease team. Even without his strength left, he couldn't fight anymore. So they just left him and continuing going up the Tartarus. So they finally made it up to the very top of Tartarus. But they were stopped by another intruder. Nyx's avatar. But that voice they actually heard of before. It was Ryoji. He had taken form, the true form of Nyx's avatar, for the appraiser. So they all have fight for their hearts contained. while the other members were fighting the shadow cells behind them. But the fight was getting longer and intense because Nyx's avatar was actually going through each arcanas until recently now. He reached into the actual arcana, the death arcana. They put up a struggle, but they managed to beat it. But it was not long before it was too late. The moon had transformed into this giant eye-looking thing, and actually pushing gravity down on them. Everyone below Tartarus was seeing that. They know the end was coming. They believe the end is coming. They were all one by one disappearing to nothing but black sludge. Except for those that Makoto had interacted with during his time at school. They believe that he will put an end to this. His teammates believe it too. But he met with Igor and Elizabeth. You know, this elevator is based on him because it's ascending to the truth. The elevator stopped. They disappear. Makoto will recall everything. As soon as the gates opened from the Velvet Room's elevator, he stood up without ease. They couldn't stand up still. It's because he was special. He knew what to do, and just float up to the sky with the giant moon by himself. He was given a power to actually know what to do to stop Nyx. And there was Nyx right in front of him. It was just him alone. No personas, no teammates. Just him alone fighting Nyx. The very being that brings the fall to humanity. It was the final battle. Nyx was proving too strong for Makoto, but hearing the voices of his teammates, it just gives him strength more to stand up. Each one keeps calling out to him to give him strength, believe in him. They don't want him to die against Nyx. After all of them, Makoto heard one last voice saying, "Alright, let's do this." The voice was actually familiar. It was Shinjiro Aragaki. His voice had reached Makoto and gave the last remaining strength left. So, even without a persona to defeat Nyx, he knows what to do to actually stop Nyx. Even though this is actually something that it actually took all the time to think. He raised one finger to the sky. He used a thing called the Great Seal. With this seal, there's one downfall with this. This actually takes up your whole entire life force. This means he's sacrificing himself to seal Nyx. Deceased members are actually still alive. They're in some weird space. But everything was engulfed by a gold light. Fuka tried to know they couldn't sense Nyx, but she couldn't sense his energy either. With Ken thinking that something happened to him, Junpei don't believe it. Told him to try again because he couldn't be the only one that got caught in that light. Fuka was displeased. She couldn't sense him. They don't want to admit it. They feel like they lost another friend in that fight. Mitsuru knew there was going to be a fight next and they were going to die. That's what they were fighting for. Yukari kept calling out for him. She refused to believe that he's gone. I just called out too, to hear his voice. In return, they heard Makoto's voice saying, everything's okay. He was still alive. Then they heard Ryuji's voice saying, don't worry. He's going to fall back asleep again. Everything was going to return to normal. The fall has lifted. Nyx is gone. They can return back to their normal lives as they have. It's because that Makoto gave the answer to the life's greatest question. It just happens a lot more sooner than the rest of them could. I guess I wonder about life's greatest question. Ryoji said that Aigis will too one day know the answer to life's greatest question. She is another living being after all. She'll know when the time comes. And after that, they all were back in front of Tartarus. And see, Tartarus was returning back to school. But it's still midnight. The dark hour was gone. Tartarus became just a normal school again. But at the entrance, that's when they saw him. They saw Makoto standing there at the entrance. Alive. With all of them run up to him in tears. Even Aigis, who was just a robot, she actually developed human feelings and cried a whole handful of tears. The fall is lifted. The dark hour is gone. Tartarus disappeared. Everything is returned to normal. That's much. Everything go up till March. Everything for their memories is gone. They don't even know as much. But Makoto went around the school and talked to everyone he had interacted with for the remaining of the next 3 days. Until this actual day. People have been asking him, he looks rather tired lately now. Or they seem like he's not feeling well. But before going to the graduation, Aigis came to Makoto's room. She remembers everything, even though their memories has to be erased. But she recalls everything that happened. But Makoto didn't forget anything. He has the memories. But instead of going to graduation, they still went to school but went on the roof. So they actually were there for Mitsuru and Akihiko's graduation day since they were seniors. Mitsuru was actually giving up a speech since this is her last day at school. So, she eventually brought up about her dad had passed away from an unknown illness, which has stopped her for a bit. An unknown illness. Then it recalled to her that she remembered. She remembered everything. Junpei, Akihiko, Fuka, and Yukari. They all remembered the memories that came back to them. The promise to actually go to the roof on graduation day to celebrate. This was a promise they made before defeating Nyx. The memories that came back to them. So they all ran out of the auditorium and go to the rooftop. Pretty much that Ken and Koromaru remembers too. And they met up with the rest of the team and decided to run up to the rooftop. That's where Aigus and Makoto was. As he was just laying there on Aigus's lap. They were actually talking for a while. But it's just then, Makoto's eyes were getting very heavy. Aigus told him that he can rest, but we'll let the others know that when they're here. So Makoto fell asleep in her lap after seeing his friends. And that's pretty much the end of their journey. Which in Persona 3 Fest, there's another reason for why the game actually has an extended story. Even I don't know what's going to happen in the end of that one, but all I know is the beginning of it. Persona 3 Fest has a playable epilogue story called The Answer. The Answer is pretty much a story that tells you what happened in March after graduation day. So, pretty much during 31st, 2010, they were also at the dorms. Mitsuru and Akihiko was actually getting their stuff ready to move out from the dorms, because they were going to college pretty soon. But, during their time before that day came, a week ago, well, mostly from that same day, and so were the days pretty much before that one. They actually learned something about this. Makoto was falling asleep. They tried to wake him up, but he couldn't wake up. So they took him to the doctors. The doctor says they couldn't find anything wrong with him. It's probably because of, lack of sleeping or a lack of energy from not sleeping. But so they was waiting for results. And this is where the story ends. Until a few days later from that one, it was announced to them, Makoto Yuki, their leader of Cease, he died in his sleep a few days later, after knowing that he couldn't wake up. So there you have it, from the story from beginning to the end. From the one transfer student from 10 years ago, became the leader, and to the very end used his life to seal up Nyx as a seal. To know he was keeping a promise to see his friends before graduation day. Just to know he was gonna die in his sleep. There you have it. That's the whole story of Persona 3. From this journey to the very end. Well, I hope you guys actually enjoy that story, because that's what actually happens in the game. The protagonist actually died pretty much a few days after graduation, because he kept a promise. Now, I'm just gonna let you guys take all that in. Now, you're probably wondering why the Makoto's here alive, and pretty much everyone's here. This is actually a dream. And also, this game's a spin-off to way before the fight with Nyx even come to be, actually. So this is actually way before Nyx actually came here. I say this is taking place from somewhere in November. Well, actually, no, somewhere in December. Before that happened. Hey, Zero.
We were doing pretty good, weren't we, Fuka?
Yeah, that went really well. You're getting good, Yukari-chan. Then again, I'm not very athletic. You're so fast that I can hardly keep up.
I agree, Yukari's amazing. Not as fast as me. Actually, which one was more funny? Actually, I think I might live stream Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight. Because I already actually played through Persona 5, actually. But I do want to live stream Persona 5 Royal. I actually have everything like maxed out with Persona 5 before. I wonder... Huh. Maybe I should do that. Would you guys actually like it if I actually live stream Persona 5 Royal? Or you want me to live stream Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight? Actually, no. I don't think I would. Because some of you actually never played Persona 5 before. Because there are some characters on here that may be spoilers. Huh. It seems you guys actually interested in that. Alright, that'll probably be my next live stream then. Wow, I've been talking and telling the story for a whole 58 minutes. Jesus Christ. I think mostly my live stream will actually be a story time thing too. Let's see. Well, Yukari is amazing.
You're seriously exaggerating. But I guess that means you're counting on me, huh? Well, I don't really have a feel for it, but I am in a sports club.
Yeah, you're in archery, if I remember.
So I'm not opposed to exercising.
Well, you are a member of the archery club, Yukari-chan.
I'm technically their star athlete after all. I can't be slacking off now.
Oh, that's right.
Did you only just remember? Well, archery is pretty forgettable.
Really? I think it's cool the way archers stand in place and take aim.
Well, sticking with archery turned out to be beneficial for fighting shadows, right? You never know what'll end up being useful in life.
Dancing is useful too.
You think all this dancing will be good for something? I wonder. But thinking that way does make me want to try harder.
You feel Yukari's determination.
Isn't it good to go all out in everything you do? I'm sure someone's watching over us.
You sound like a sage, Yukari-chan.
Oh no! Do I sound like an old lady? I mean, with all that's happened recently, we've kind of reached enlightenment.
You always been like that.
Excuse me?
You two get along so well.
Oh, really, Zero? I wasn't.
Huh? You think so?
The three of you chat for a while, then you return to your room. Okay, we'll get back to these social link things in a while. Let's get to dancing. Actually, guys, since I actually talked about the answer, I'm actually gonna play that little music right there. Nice. Let's get this started, guys. I'm going to show you what the ending was for Persona 3 Fest's The Answer. And what was going on. If you have any questions about this one, go ahead and ask about what's going on. I can actually... Let me start over. I was distracted. Sorry. Normally, I'm not really distracted with all this. Okay, now let's go for real. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention about Aigis also get her Ultra Persona for actually learning the human emotions. Her persona for Palladion actually evolves to Athena. And yeah, you saw about my persona, Messiah. Actually, I don't get that in the story. Because, Messiah is actually my persona that I had to get infusing. Isn't that funny? The only one's Ultra Persona that's not from the story is go through fusing with other personas. Oh, there's Orpheus. Okay, yeah. Tell you about that one. That was actually Aigis that summoned Orpheus, Makoto's persona. Yeah, it's not me. He's alive. Oh, nope. Never mind. There he is. Okay, just to let you guys know, I have never actually made that part of the story, but I actually know what's going on with that one. That's actually just another version of Makoto Yuki, you know, the guy that died in the story I was telling you about. That's just a shadow version of him. But it's actually turned out to be the actual him. Yeah, I don't know why they're fighting in that one. It's actually Aigis and her sister Menace, the one that just attacked her at the very beginning. Menace, who is also another anti-shadow weapon just like Aigis. Oh, there again. Look, guys, there it is. That's what show you what happens with the seal. Well, there I am. The main character. That's the seal. That's what happened to the main character. The Great Seal is that. They actually know the whole flashback was going to happen. That seal is me. I became a sealed door to hold the entity back. Here's the sad part about that one. They all wanted me back alive. They couldn't live without me.
King crazy.
That wasn't too bad with her, I suppose. Actually, no, that's actually the whole story from Persona 3 Fest. The whole playable epilogue. Okay guys, I'm gonna jump over to Persona 5 Royal, so that should get you out in the story. So, sit back, hang tight, and I'll see you over there.